If you can still do this at 60, you're stronger than most men alive. That's the truth nobody tells you, my friend. Because let's be real, most men hit their 50s and 60s and start collapsing on themselves. Their energy fades, their body stops listening, their mind slows down. They lose their edge, their confidence, their presence. They start believing age is the enemy, and the worst part is they accept that decline as normal. But here's what you were never told. Age doesn't weaken a man. Comfort does. Neglect does. Giving up does. And while most men slide downhill without even noticing, a rare few stay powerful, sharp, masculine, and grounded well into their 60s and beyond. Not because of luck, not because of genetics, but because they held on to a handful of abilities that keep a man dangerous, attractive, and unshakable no matter how old he gets. Today I'm going to show you exactly what those abilities are. Not motivation, not cliches. Real practical markers of strength that reveal whether you're still a man other men respect, and a man women quietly notice when you walk into a room. If you can still do these things at 60, you're not aging, you're leveling up. And if you're not 60 yet, this is the blueprint you need to start building now. Let's get into it. Number 1. The body that still makes you dangerous. My friend, let's talk about something most men are afraid to face. At 60, your body isn't just a machine, it's a message. It tells the world who you are, what you've built, and whether life has beaten you down, or if you're still a man who can stand his ground. The file makes this crystal clear. At 60, most men lose their physical power, not because of age, but because they stopped commanding their body years earlier. And yet you've seen the exceptions. The men who still move with purpose. The men who walk into a room and people instinctively make space, not because they're massive or shredded, but because their body still obeys them. Their posture is firm, their steps are steady, their presence feels alive. Take someone like James, 59, from Colorado. He's not a bodybuilder. He's not chasing youth. He just refused to let comfort soften him. He still hikes twice a week. He still lifts light, but consistently. He keeps his joints moving, his breath strong, his muscles awake. When he walks into his local cafe, the younger men straighten up without realizing why. And Sophie, 56, who works there, always notices when he arrives. She once joked that he moves like a man who still has things to conquer. She doesn't say that about the average guy who shuffles in with rounded shoulders, short breath, and the look of a man who surrendered years ago. This is what the file points to. At 60, strength is no longer about heavy weights or big muscles. It's about command. Can your body still respond when you tell it what to do? Can you climb stairs without gasping? Can you carry groceries without wobbling? Can you bend, reach, and move with power instead of fear? These abilities matter more than appearance. They show whether you're still in the driver's seat. Most men let their body decay because they think aging is something that just happens. But Stoic philosophy kills that excuse. Epictetus said, "Discipline is freedom. A man who trains his body even lightly, even slowly, is a man who stays free. Free from weakness, free from dependence, free from the slow decline that makes most men invisible by the time they hit their late 50s. A strong body at 60 doesn't just make you functional, it makes you magnetic. Women, especially women, your age notice posture, breath, steadiness and vitality far more than abs or youth. They can sense when a man still has fire in him. Not the fire of a young boy, but the fire of a seasoned man who has not been defeated by time. A dangerous body at 60 means you still move with intention. You still embody control. You still carry weight, physical and symbolic. The file says that younger men respect this instantly because it contradicts everything they've been taught about aging. And women feel it emotionally. A man who stays strong into older age signals stability, grounded masculinity and leadership. So ask yourself, are you letting time take the wheel, or are you still commanding the machine you were given? If your body still answers to you at 60, you are already ahead of most men alive. Now comment this to anchor it: I stay in command. Stick with me, because what comes next reveals the mental edge that separates average aging from unstoppable masculinity. Number 2. The sharp mind women can't ignore. My friend, let's be completely honest about something most men never want to face. At 60, the sharpness of your mind matters more than any muscle you have left. The file makes this clear. The decline most men experience is not physical. At first it begins in the mind. They stop thinking deeply. They stop challenging themselves. They stop staying curious. And the moment a man's mind becomes dull, everything else follows. But the men who remain truly strong at 60 are the ones who stay mentally dangerous. Their thoughts cut clean. Their decisions are fast and grounded. Their memory is still crisp. Their judgment is still sharp. And that sharpness is something women notice instantly, even more than physical strength. A man with a razor-sharp mind carries a presence that makes people pay attention without him trying. The world is full of older men who drift through conversations with confusion in their eyes. They forget details. They repeat themselves. They struggle to follow what's happening. But the man whose mind is still alive, he stands out. He listens fully. He understands the subtext behind words. He speaks clearly. He reads people quickly. He sees patterns others miss. He can hold his own in any room. That kind of mental power is attractive because it signals competence, authority, and experience, 3 qualities that only grow more valuable with age. The file talks about this mental sharpness as something forged, not given. Men who stay sharp don't sit back and let the world shrink. They keep learning. They keep analyzing. They keep engaging their curiosity. They stay mentally mobile, even when their body slows down. That mobility is what makes them dangerous in the best possible way. Stoicism speaks directly to this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are sharp, disciplined, and intentional, your entire identity follows that shape. And if your thoughts are lazy, scattered, or dull, you become the very man you fear becoming. Sharpness is not an age thing. It's a practice. The man with the sharp mind is the man who hasn't surrendered to comfort. He doesn't numb himself with passive routines. He challenges his thinking. He stays aware. He keeps his mental blade honed, and because he remains mentally alive, he remains emotionally steady. That stability is something women feel quickly. A sharp mind creates masculine calm, the kind of calm that makes her feel safe, drawn in, and attentive. And here's something the file emphasizes: younger men admire this just as much as women do. A 60-year-old man who still thinks clearly and speaks with precision commands a different level of respect. His presence carries weight that can't be faked. People listen not because of age, but because of clarity. A sharp mind at 60 is rare. That's why it's powerful. It's why others notice. It's why women notice. It's why you stand apart without saying much. So let me ask you, my friend, do you still challenge your thinking? Do you still stay curious? Do you still sharpen your mind like a blade you refuse to let rust? If the answer is yes, then you're already stronger than most men your age. Comment this to anchor the truth: I sharpen my mind. Stay with me, because next we'll talk about the kind of balance that reveals a strength most men lose long before they realize it. Number 3. The balance that shows hidden strength. My friend, let's talk about a kind of strength most men don't even notice until they lose it: balance. Not the gym kind, not standing on one leg like a circus trick. I'm talking about the deep physical stability that reveals whether your body is still under your command or whether time has already taken more from you than you're willing to admit. The file makes this clear. When a man reaches 60, balance becomes one of the purest indicators of his internal condition. It exposes discipline, mobility, confidence, and even mental sharpness. And here's the truth. Most men at that age have poor balance, not because they're old, but because they haven't challenged their body in decades. Their muscles weaken, their joints stiffen, and their nervous system slows down. But a man who still moves with steadiness at 60, that man is not average. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. There's a man named Robert, 61, from Ohio. Nothing flashy about him. No extreme workouts, no athletic history. But every morning he takes a 20-minute walk, practices a little mobility work, does a few balance drills he learned from a physical therapist years ago, and keeps his movements controlled. One afternoon, he and Linda, 58, were helping set up chairs at a community center. Linda reached up to grab a box from a shelf and lost her footing for a second. Before she stumbled, Robert stepped in smoothly, caught the box with one hand, and kept his posture steady like it was nothing. She laughed and said, "You move better than most 30-year-olds. That's not genetics. That's sovereignty over the body." Balance at 60 tells the world you're still stable, still present, still dangerous in the quiet, disciplined way only older men can be. Younger men feel it subconsciously. They see a man who doesn't wobble, who doesn't shuffle, who doesn't move, like he's scared of falling. Women notice it too. They might not say, "Wow, his balance is impressive," but they feel your groundedness. It reads as strength, reliability, and confidence. The file explains a deeper truth. Balance is physical, but it reflects your inner world. A balanced man rarely overreacts. He doesn't panic. He doesn't get emotionally pushed around by stress or discomfort. When a man can control his body, his mind follows that same pattern of steadiness. Stoicism reinforces this perfectly. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Balance is the physical proof of that mastery. It shows you have not surrendered to fear, weakness, or laziness. You've kept your body awake, responsive, capable. And here's something most men overlook. Balance is one of the first things women feel when they're close to you. Not romantically, not intentionally, but instinctively. When you stand firm, when your movements are fluid, when your presence has physical stability, it creates a sense of safety and masculine grounding that women respect deeply, especially women your age. Now think about yourself for a moment. When you stand up after sitting, does your body respond smoothly? When you step off a curb, do you feel secure? When you move in a crowded place, do you glide through or hesitate? These little details reveal more than strength. They reveal whether you've stayed in command of your physical foundation. A man who still has balance at 60 hasn't aged, he has endured. Comment this to lock it in: I stay grounded. Number 4. The laugh that proves your spirit isn't broken. My friend, let's talk about something most men underestimate: the power of a real laugh. Not the forced kind, not the polite social chuckle. I'm talking about the deep, grounded, unshaken laugh a man still has at 60, the laugh that shows life didn't crush him. The file makes this clear. When a man reaches older age, his laughter becomes a measurement of his spirit. Look around you. Most men past 50 don't laugh anymore. Not genuinely. They smirk. They fake it. They hide behind sarcasm or bitterness. Their laughter sounds tired, empty, or forced, because somewhere along the way, life broke something inside them. Responsibility, disappointment, regret, monotony, all of it piles up until joy becomes a memory instead of a living part of them. But then there are the few, the rare men who still laugh with depth. Their laughter isn't loud. It isn't childish. It comes from a place of resilience. A man whose spirit is still unbroken doesn't laugh because life has been easy. He laughs because nothing managed to take his fire. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Seneca wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." That kind of courage forms a different kind of humor. A man who has walked through pain, loss, setbacks, and uncertainty, but still carries lightness in his chest, that man has strength most people never build. Younger men admire it. Women feel the weight of it. and other men notice it, even if they pretend not to. The file explains that laughter at 60 is not about entertainment, it's about freedom. A man who can still laugh deeply is a man who has not become bitter. He has not surrendered to cynicism. He has not allowed the weight of his life to turn him into a ghost of who he once was. His laugh is proof that he still sees beauty, still feels gratitude, still recognizes the absurdity of life without drowning in it. This kind of laugh carries a masculine gravity. It's warm but steady. It's calm but alive. When a man like that laughs, people around him relax. Women especially feel the pull of that grounded joy. It signals emotional resilience, inner stability, and a life force that hasn't dimmed with age. It's a kind of masculinity younger men cannot fake, and older men often lose. And here's the truth you need to hear. If you can still laugh deeply at 60, you haven't aged, you've endured. Your laugh becomes a statement. Life hit me, but it didn't break me. Time passed, but it didn't harden me. Challenges came, but I stayed human. That's a strength you can't buy fake or force. It's earned one season of life at a time. So I want you to ask yourself, honestly, when was the last time you laughed from the chest, not the throat? When was the last time your laugh came from strength instead of habit? When was the last time you felt that spark inside you that refuses to die? If that spark is still there even faintly, you're already ahead of most men your age. And my friend, if you want deeper teachings, behind-the-scenes guidance, and exclusive content designed to rebuild that inner fire even stronger, make sure you join the membership. You'll get access to everything I can't share publicly. Let's keep going. The next part reveals why the right brotherhood is one of the strongest forces keeping a man alive inside. Number 5. The brotherhood that keeps your power alive. My friend, let's be honest about something most men don't want to admit. When you hit your 50s or 60s, your circle shrinks fast. The file makes it very clear. One of the strongest signs you're still a powerful man at 60 is whether you still have a brotherhood that sharpens you instead of draining you. Because a man alone for too long becomes dull. A man surrounded by the wrong people becomes weak. But a man supported by the right brothers, he becomes unstoppable. Let me paint a picture for you. Take Michael, a 58-year-old mechanic from Ohio. For years, he slowly drifted away from the men he used to hang around with, mostly because they stopped growing. Every conversation became complaining, blaming, reminiscing, or giving up. And without noticing, his energy dropped. His discipline slipped. His fire faded. His wife Sandra, who's 56, even said to him one night, "You don't feel like yourself anymore. You feel heavy." Then one day he reconnected with 2 old friends from his boxing gym, men who still trained, still challenged themselves, still lived with intention. After a few weeks of meeting them again, Sandra said something very different. "You're lighter, you're sharper, you're more you." Why? Because the right men keep your masculine power alive. The file emphasizes this. When you're older, your environment matters more than ever. Younger men rely on physical strength, but older men rely on spiritual, mental, and emotional strength, and the men around you heavily influence that. The Stoics knew this deeply. Epictetus said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, not people who flatter you, not people who agree with everything, not people who need you to be weak so they feel strong, but men who push you to hold the line of your own standards." A powerful man at 60 is rarely powerful by accident. He stays powerful because he surrounds himself with other men who refuse to let life soften them. Brotherhood creates accountability. Accountability creates discipline. Discipline creates vitality. And vitality is what keeps you dangerous long after most men your age have surrendered. Look at Michael again. Nothing magical happened. He didn't get younger. His knees still cracked. His back still complained. But his fire came back because the men around him lived with fire. And Sandra felt it. Women always feel it. When a man reconnects with brotherhood, his energy becomes more alive, more grounded, more masculine, and whether she admits it or not, the woman in his life feels safer, more attracted and more drawn to him. This is why the file says, your strength at 60 is not just inside you, it's also inside the tribe that surrounds you. You don't need 1,000 friends. You don't need weekly poker nights. You don't need a crew. You just need 2 or 3 men who are still pushing themselves, still refusing to quit, still choosing courage over comfort. And if you don't have that right now, you need to build it. Because isolation kills a man's spirit faster than age ever will. So ask yourself honestly, who are the men in your life who sharpen you, who challenges you, who calls you out when you're slipping, who pushes you to stay strong when comfort becomes tempting? Those men, that brotherhood, will keep your power alive long after most men your age have lost theirs. Stick with me, because the next part reveals a deeper truth: why doing the hard things at 60 makes you more powerful than most 20-year-olds walking around today. Number 6. The independence that makes you untouchable. My friend, let's talk about something the file made very clear. When you reach 60, true power no longer comes from what you own, who approves of you, or how many people need you. Real strength comes from independence, the kind of independence that makes you untouchable, the kind that separates strong older men from weak older men, the kind that quietly announces, I can stand on my own 2 feet and nothing you do can shake me. Most men at 60 are trapped by fear, trapped by routines, trapped by dependence on people who don't actually respect them, trapped by the belief that they are too old to rebuild, too old to change, too old to walk away from anything that drains them. But the truth is the opposite. 60 is the age where independence matters more than ever, because independence feeds confidence, and confidence feeds vitality. And nothing is more attractive or more intimidating than a man who does not rely on anyone for emotional stability. This is exactly what the Stoics understood. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That wasn't poetry. That was instruction. The Stoics believed the strongest man is the one who needs the least from the world. Not because he's cold, not because he's disconnected, but because he has built an inner life that no one can touch. The file made a powerful point. If at 60 you can still be self-directed, self-sufficient, and self-grounded, you're already stronger than most men alive. Most men your age are controlled by their aches, their finances, their relationships, their disappointments, and their regrets. But the independent man, he is controlled by none of those things. He chooses his routines instead of drifting into them. He chooses who he spends time with instead of settling for whoever is around. He chooses what he stands for instead of living by habit or fear. Independence isn't just about doing things alone. It is about living from a center that cannot be shaken. It is about not begging for approval, not shrinking to fit someone else's expectations, not clinging to people just to avoid being alone. It is about becoming a man who knows who he is, what he wants, and what he will no longer tolerate. And here's the part most men miss. Independence brings peace, but it also brings power. Women feel it immediately. Younger men notice it, but don't understand it. Other older men envy it, because independence is rare, especially after 60. Think about what the file said. If you can still make decisions without hesitation, still pursue goals without needing applause, still hold your standards. Whether people agree or not, you're already ahead of most men by a mile. Independence is what keeps a man sharp. It keeps him light on his feet. It keeps his spirit from rotting. You stop being afraid of rejection. You stop being shaken by judgment. You stop being manipulated by guilt. You start living with clarity, purpose, and control. That is what makes you untouchable. And here's the beauty of it. Independence is not a personality trait. It's a practice. a daily discipline, a choice you make again and again. The Stoic said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That truth becomes 10 times more powerful at 60, because when you finally learn not to chase, not to cling, and not to fear, your life becomes simpler, quieter, and stronger. Stick with me, because the next part reveals something most men never learn until it's too late: why your ability to endure and adapt at 60 makes you more powerful than most men half your age. Number 7. The decisive energy women feel instantly. My friend, let's talk about something the file hits very hard at 61. Of the clearest marks that you are still stronger than most men alive is your ability to decide, not to overthink, not to stall, not to drown in "I don't know," to decide. Decisive energy is masculine, and women feel it the moment you step into their world. Most men your age move like they are afraid of making mistakes. They hesitate. They ask everyone's opinion. They wait for perfect conditions. They float instead of lead. And slowly, without noticing, their presence fades. People stop looking to them. Their words carry less weight. Their confidence thins out. But a man who still chooses with clarity at 60, that man stands apart. Let me paint a picture for you. There is a 62-year-old retired firefighter we'll call a typical case in the file. For years after retirement, he drifted. He waited for his wife to set plans. He waited for his kids to call. He waited for the right time to start anything. On the outside, he was kind and calm. On the inside, he was shrinking. His wife didn't complain, but she felt it. She told a friend, "He's here, but he's not leading anymore." Then something shifted. He started small. Choosing the restaurant instead of saying, "I don't care, you pick." Setting a time for their walks instead of maybe later. Deciding which projects he would take on around the house and actually finishing them. No big speeches, no drama, just clean, consistent decisions. His wife responded immediately. Her energy toward him changed. She relaxed more around him. She trusted his lead. She felt his presence return. Because women feel decisiveness as safety, as direction, as masculine essence. The file makes it clear a man who still moves with decision at 60 has not surrendered to life. He hasn't allowed fear or comfort to erase his edge. His decisiveness says, "I know who I am, I know what matters, and I am willing to act." Stoicism backs this up completely. Seneca wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it." Indecision wastes life. It drains time, energy, and respect. A Stoic man doesn't wait for the perfect path. He chooses a path and walks it with discipline. That is what gives his energy weight. Younger men might have physical speed, but a decisive older man has something far more powerful: calm, certainty. He does not rush. He does not scramble. He chooses with a steady hand. In conversations, he doesn't bounce between opinions. In conflict, he doesn't explode or retreat. He assesses, then acts. That is the kind of energy both men and women feel immediately. Women especially are sensitive to this. A man who says, "We can do this or that, I don't know. You decide," over and over again, kills polarity. But a man who calmly says, "Here's what I think we should do," without being controlling, wakes up her feminine side. She reacts to his direction, not his uncertainty. So let me ask you honestly, my friend, have you been drifting or deciding? Do people feel clarity when they are around you, or constant hesitation? If you know it is time to bring that decisive energy back, anchor it in the comments. Type this, "I choose with certainty." Stay with me, because the next part dives into the kind of presence that commands respect without you having to say a single word. Number 8. The presence that commands respect without speaking. My friend, let's talk about something the file highlights with absolute clarity at 61 of the strongest signs that you are still more powerful than most men alive is the presence you carry without saying a word. Not the noise you make, not the stories you tell, not the volume of your opinions, your presence. Because when a man reaches 60, people aren't watching what he owns anymore. They're watching who he is, how he stands, how he carries himself, how he responds instead of reacts, how he holds the room not with dominance but with depth. This kind of presence doesn't come from ego. It comes from a lifetime of surviving, learning, losing, rebuilding, and sharpening yourself through reality instead of fantasy. The file explains it perfectly. A strong, older man no longer needs to prove himself. The weak older man still does. You can see this everywhere. Two men may be the same age, same height, same build, but the difference in presence is undeniable. One of them walks into a room and feels invisible. The other walks in, and people naturally make space for him. They don't know why. They just feel it. That's presence. And presence is earned. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Notice the power in that line. A strong man doesn't announce himself. He embodies himself. At 60, you've lived enough life to know that the loudest man is rarely the strongest. True presence comes from self-control, from calm, from inner stability, from the ability to face life without flinching, from choosing dignity over chaos, from not letting your emotions drag you around like most men your age do. That is what commands respect, without a single word spoken. The file breaks this down into something simple. When you are grounded, people feel safer around you. When you are calm, they lean in. When you move deliberately, they listen. And when you look someone in the eyes without tension or insecurity, they treat you differently. Your presence becomes a message without needing a speech. I'm not here to impress you. I'm not here to chase you. I'm not here to prove myself. I am centered. I am steady. I am self-governed. That is masculine gravity. And let me tell you something that younger men haven't lived long enough to learn. Women feel this even faster than men do. A woman picks up on your energy long before she hears your words. She knows if she's around a man who is grounded or a man who is anxious. She knows when she should relax her shoulders and when she should raise her guard. Presence tells her everything she needs to know. Not charm, not jokes, not bravado. Presence. The file is right. When you still have this at 60, you are rare. Most men fade. Most men shrink. Most men soften. Most men lose their identity in comfort, routine, and regret. But a man who keeps presence, that man keeps power. And presence doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from removing the noise. Letting go of the need to be praised, letting go of the need to be right, letting go of the need to be loud. It's the discipline of choosing composure over chaos. So let me ask you, my friend, do people feel your steadiness the moment you walk in? Do they sense your grounding without you saying a word? If you're ready to build the kind of presence that commands respect effortlessly, lock it in with a comment. Type this: I lead with presence. Stay with me, because the next part shows why the strength you still carry at 60 sets you apart from almost every man your age and many far younger. Number 9. The discipline that keeps you strong at any age. My friend, let's get real about something. The file repeats again and again. The men who stay powerful at 60 are not lucky. They are disciplined. They are consistent. They do the work even when no one is watching. They follow routines that sharpen them instead of soften them. Discipline becomes their quiet superpower. And the older you get, the more it separates you from the average man. Most men at 60 let life bend them. They stop pushing themselves. They stop challenging their limits. They tell themselves they're too old, too tired, or too busy. They use age as a shield for comfort. And comfort becomes the thing that kills their strength faster than time ever will. But disciplined men, they age differently. Let me give you an example. Richard, a 61-year-old landscaper from Florida, used to be the kind of man who hit the snooze button 4 times, grabbed whatever food was convenient, and skipped exercise because his back hurt. His wife Elise, 57, wasn't judging him, but she worried. She saw him getting slower, more irritated, and less confident. She said, "You feel older than you actually are." One day, Richard made a decision. Not a dramatic one, not a New Year's resolution, a simple one. I'm going to live like a man who still has strength. He started waking up at the same time every morning. He cleaned up his diet. He walked 2 miles a day. Later, he added light strength training. He cut out mindless TV. He created structure instead of drifting through each day. And in 3 months, Elise told him something he hadn't heard in years. "You feel younger than you did at 50. This is what the file is talking about. Discipline does not just change your body. It changes your energy. It changes how people look at you. It changes how you look at yourself. The Stoics understood this perfectly. Epictetus said, "Discipline is freedom." When you are disciplined, you are not controlled by impulses, not controlled by laziness, not controlled by fear, not controlled by excuses. You control yourself. And self-control is masculine at the deepest level. Discipline at 60 doesn't mean living in the gym. It doesn't mean acting like you're 25. It means moving with intention, taking care of your body because it still has work to do, taking care of your mind because clarity is power, taking care of your habits because they shape the man you are becoming every single day. You want to know why discipline is so attractive at your age? Because it proves you haven't given up. It shows that time hasn't broken you. It shows that you still have fight in you. It shows that you are not a man who drifts. You are a man who directs. Look back at Richard. His discipline didn't just transform him physically. Elise saw the change in the way he walked, the way he talked, the way he carried himself. His presence felt stronger, not heavier, more grounded, not older. And that is exactly what the file means when it says discipline keeps you powerful at any age. So let me ask you honestly, are you running your days, or are your days running you? Are you living with structure or surrendering to comfort? If you're ready to step into the version of yourself who still has strength at 60 and beyond, drop it in the comments. Type this: "I choose discipline." Stick with me, because the final part reveals the deeper truth, the one quality that makes a 60-year-old man more powerful than most men half his age. Number 10. The masculine core that never gets old. My friend, let's wrap this with the deepest truth. The file keeps pointing to strength at 60 is not just about your body, your mind, or your habits. Those things matter, but they all come from somewhere deeper, something older than your age, something that doesn't fade unless you let it, something the world recognizes the moment you walk in, your masculine core, not the performative version, not the loud version, not the insecure, approval-seeking version. I'm talking about the real thing, the part of you that existed long before stress, regrets, failures, and responsibilities started piling up, the part that remains inside you even when everything else weakens. The file makes this clear. The older you get, the more valuable your masculine core becomes, because fewer men still have it. Most men let life sand it down. They become timid, weary, apologetic, easily shaken, guided by comfort instead of conviction. But when a man keeps his masculine center intact, you feel it in everything he does. You feel it in his posture, not rigid but grounded. You feel it in his eyes, not aggressive but unwavering. You feel it in his tone, calm, measured, controlled. You feel it in the way he makes decisions, not rushed, not frantic, but deliberate. This is not about being tough. It's about being whole. A man with a strong masculine core doesn't pretend to be fearless. He simply refuses to be ruled by fear. He doesn't pretend to have all the answers. He just knows he'll face whatever comes. He doesn't chase validation because he knows validation is worthless if it costs you your self-respect. And here's the part most men never understand until it's too late. Your masculine core becomes more magnetic as you age, not less. Younger men try to create presence by forcing intensity, but older men who have lived, endured, and risen again, create presence by existing fully, by being centered in themselves. That is why the file talks about older men who still move with purpose, still act with clarity, still protect their standards, still guard their energy, still speak with intention. These men are rare, and rarity is powerful. Women feel this instantly. Not because you're trying to impress them, not because you're trying to compete with younger men, but because your energy is stable, unshakable, mature in a way youth can't replicate. This is what allows a 60-year-old man to walk into a room and be respected. This is what makes people listen before you even say a word. This is what makes your presence land with weight instead of noise. This is what makes your quiet more powerful than another man's shouting. A strong masculine core is not loud. It's centered, not demanding, just undeniable. So what does it actually look like? It looks like a man who knows who he is and no longer apologizes for it. A man who sets boundaries and actually enforces them. A man who does not collapse under pressure but steadies himself. A man who does not run from conflict but does not go looking for it either. A man who carries his experience with dignity instead of bitterness. A man who can be gentle without being weak and firm without being cruel. That core is the reason a man remains powerful at 60. That core is the reason age cannot take everything from you. That core is the reason you can still outshine men decades younger. Because real masculinity doesn't get old. It deepens, it sharpens, it becomes richer, quieter, and more commanding. And when you keep that core intact, my friend, you are not just aging. You are becoming something most men never reach, a man who grows stronger as the years pass. My friend, today you saw exactly why a man at 60 can still be stronger, sharper, and more desirable than most men half his age. We covered the body, the mind, the discipline, the presence, and the masculine core that never fades unless you let it. Every part of this video was meant to remind you that strength at your age is not luck. It is choice, intention, and the way you carry yourself. If you want deeper lessons, private guidance, and exclusive content I don't share publicly, consider joining the members program. It's built for men who refuse to slow down. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.